Germany, early 1930, a defeated nation, drowning in debt, humiliated by Treaty of Versailles, and suffering from unemployment that reached more than 30%. Factories were empty, streets were filled with jobless workers, and the government had almost no money to spend. Yes, less than a decade later, Adolf Hitler managed to build one of the most powerful and advanced militaries the world had ever seen, a military capable of conquering most of Europe and starting the most destructive conflict in human history. So, how did it happen? How did a pro country secretly create the war machine that shook the world? Today, we dive deep into the hidden strategies, economic tricks, and cultural policies that made it possible. To understand Hitler's financial strategy, we must start with the situation Germany was in after World War One. The Treaty of Versailles forced Germany to pay huge reparations, limits its army to 100,000 soldiers, ban tanks, aircraft, and heavy weapons, reduce its navy to almost nothing. The German economy collapsed, and by 1923, it's made money so worthless that people carried banknotes in wheelbarrows just to buy bread. But here's the twist. Even before Hitler, Germany wasn't fully applying the treaty. Inside the military leadership, there was a belief that Germany would rise again. So they do. Tested tanks in the Soviet Union, kept hidden stockpiles of weapons, used civilians' factories to prepare for military production. So when Hitler came to power in 1933, he didn't start from zero. He simply unlocked the door that was already half open. Hitler believed that Germany's survival depended on something he called living space. It meant conquering Eastern Europe and using its land, resources, and people to fuel a massive empire. So from day one, Hitler had no intention of occupying the Treaty of Versailles. But he'd had a problem. Germany couldn't afford a modern army, not even close. So he needed a new economic strategy, one that would allow Germany to secretly rearm without collapsing financially and without alerting the world. And that's where the real story begins. This is the heart of Hitler's economic magic trick. In 1934, Hitler's economic minister Hjalmar Schacht created a fake company called Mefo. It didn't produce anything, it had no employee, it existed only on paper. But this fake company issued what were called Mefo pills, essentially secret government IOUs. Here's how it worked. The German government wanted tanks, planes, or weapons. Instead of paying factories with real money, it gave them Mefo. Factories could keep these bills or exchange them for real cash at the central bank. The bills didn't appear in the official national budget. In simple terms, Germany poured billions without anyone knowing, and it used that hidden money entirely for military build-up. By 1939, these secret bills financed over 2 billion richmakers and massive amount for the time. This method allowed Hitler to rearm Germany in total secrecy while still pretending to follow the peace treaty. By the mid 1930s, Germany looked like a pumping economy miracle, but under the surface, the state was tightening its grip on every industry. Hitler created a command economy where wages were frozen, prices were controlled, imports were restricted, raw materials were rationed, companies were forced to follow military needs, factories that once made cars shifted to trucks for the army, chemical plants were ordered to produce fuel, and rubber because Germany lacked natural resources. The goal was simple: transform the entire nation into a war machine. To make this work, propaganda played a massive role. People were told they were building a stronger Germany, restoring national pride. The reality was that they were preparing for a long, deadly war one most citizens didn't even expect. By 1935, Hitler no longer cared about hiding his intentions. He announced the return of conscription, the creation of Luftwaffe, expansion of the army from 100,000 to 500,000 soldiers, massive tanks and aircraft programs. Foreign governments protested but did nothing. Hitler realized something critical. Risky moves were safe as long as other nations feared conflict. So he pushed further and further. By 1935, Hitler no longer cared about hiding his intentions. He announced the return of conscription, the creation of Luftwaffe, expansion of the army from 100,000 to 500,000 soldiers, massive tanks and aircraft programs. Foreign governments protested but did nothing. Hitler realized something critical. Risky moves were safe as long as other nations feared conflict. So he pushed further and further. Here's the most shocking truth: Hitler's entire military buildup was financially unsustainable. Germany didn't have enough money or resources to maintain such a massive army long term. Hitler knew that, so his plan was simple: pay for war with the spoils of war. Once Germany conquered Poland, France, Netherlands, and others, it looted their gold reserves, factories, food, fuel, and labor. In other words, conquest was the financial plan, war was the economic model. Germany survived by stealing from others until it eventually collapsed under the weight of its own aggression. So, how did Hitler build a massive military when Germany was broke? Through secret financial system, fake companies and hidden debt, massive public works, government control of industry, and ultimately plans for future conquest. It wasn't a miracle, it wasn't economic genius, it was a combination of oppression and an economy built for war, no matter how human cost. If you found this breakdown interesting, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and tell me what historical topic you want next. Thank you for watching.